Here are the worst books of 2021, according to me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Now for today's video, I'm doing my worst books of 2021. Now in 2021, I read over 715 books, and the majority of those books were romance books, and I feel like I have a fair rating system. I feel like I am pretty fair, although sometimes I am very lenient with my ratings. If I feel like that the books have caused me an emotional impact, if I feel like that the authors deserve a little bit more praise for the additional things that they have added to the book, regardless of what the flaws were in those books as well. When I rate my books, I often look at the character development, the characterization themselves, and their choices that they make, and I also look towards the plot lines to see if they are entertaining, if the ending and conclusion makes sense, and if also the happily ever after is well deserved, and also overall how I'm feeling about the book, and if I was left satisfied with everything that has been put together to create that ending as well. I'll also be talking about books that disappointed me the most. So these are the books from authors that I have really high standards for, that I really enjoyed their works in the past, and for some reason the books that they put out this year may have disappointed me, and I'll also be talking about those books too as well. I want to also mention that these books that I have on my list are my opinions only, and I'm not here to offend or bash you as a reader and bash your favorite books. I'm just here to kind of share my unpopular opinions, but regardless, it is my opinion still. So don't take too much in offense of what I say. But let's get started with some disappointing books. So I'm kind of going backwards in terms of the book releases, because I've just been sifting through my 2021 reading challenge. So the first book that I want to talk about is actually a book that was released in the last quarter of last year. This one's called Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. Now I love Tessa Bailey. I loved her trilogy series that she wrote with Avon Romance, like Fix Her Up, Love Her or Lose Her, and I just love that trilogy so much. I fell in love with Tessa Bailey's writing. I really like how steamy and hot her scenes are, and I just love how fun the stories are overall. So when I heard that she was writing a Christmas indie romance book, I had to get my hands on it, because this one just kind of fit the formulaic love that I really love. So we have a hero who loves bow ties, who loves rules, who loves to make sure that everything is in its place. But then our female heroine is actually the bad girl. She recently got out of jail. She doesn't look like she's going to have any job prospects anytime soon. And so she actually looks towards applying for a job in a toy shop for the holiday season. It's there where they fall in love, where they kind of have a very taboo, forbidden romance, because you're not supposed to be dating each other in the same company, and they have to make the decision whether or not they want to take that leap to go to HR and to tell them that, hey, we want to pursue in a relationship and get more serious and things like that. Obviously, our heroine feels that she is not worthy of our hero because she is an ex-convict. So he has to really step up and prove himself to her that he's okay with her murky past, and that they can get over all the issues that they have simply because they have this strong attraction to each other. Now, for me personally, I didn't really like this book, mostly because I felt that our hero really just wanted to get into her pants. I'm sorry to say. He spent majority of the book trying to convince her that he was destined for her, even though they don't know each other at all. And it just felt a little bit weird. And I also didn't like the fact that we learned our heroine's mistake that has landed her in jail, and the person who was actually really behind that crime and that motivated her to commit that crime. And I didn't like how that conflict resolution ended. I felt that it was very quick. I felt like it didn't make sense. And it didn't make sense that our heroine accepted her apology and forgave her so fast. So overall, this book was a disappointing read. Sure, it was cute at times, but majority of the times it was just them working in a toy store, and there were some hot scenes, but it just wasn't for me. Okay, so the second book that I want to talk about is actually, I think, a book that's not even available on Amazon Kindle Unlimited or Kindle in general, mostly because the first book was already banned on Amazon. So I had to purchase this book off of a different book platform that is not Kindle. But this one is called The Free by K Webster. And The Free is book number 2 in the Wild series. Now, this one I knew was going to be a wild ride. Get it? The Wild was banned from Amazon Kindle because of certain graphic violent scenes, as well as mature content that is basically illegal in a lot of states in America, and lots of people disagree with it. She took taboo to a whole new level. Obviously, with The Wild, there was kind of like a plot twist that worked in the favor of the romantic relationship, as well as just like in general, like livelihood of humanity. So I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I read The Free because of pure curiosity. Now, if you guys heard the saying, you know, curiosity killed the cat, definitely that's what happened with me. I was very curious one night. I wanted to see what was up with this book, and I decided to read it. Basically, our female heroine has been subjugated to a lot of SA for the majority of her life. She has been assaulted multiple times by her own brothers and her own father, and it's very disturbing, obviously. And she deals with a lot of PTSD from it, but she's able to overcome that once her family leaves the picture and she is living wild and free because that's all she knows, right? She's never been a part of society before. She can hardly read, and the way that she communicates is very childlike because she never went to proper schooling. So she literally lives in the wild. She's a feral kind of creature. One day she gets hurt and she needs someone to save her, obviously. And that comes in our hero. I think our hero was actually like a businessman, and then he decided that like he didn't want to live in the city anymore, so he moved into a cabin and became a recluse. And he is in love with our female heroine despite the fact that she is half his age. But he is the strong figure in the relationship. He's the one that is very firm with how they can't be together simply because of their age gap, and also because he feels like he's taking advantage of her. So when I was reading this book, I actually was really enjoying it. Like, I loved how our two characters were just stuck in a cabin together. They were fighting for their lives. They were just living peacefully, and they were being cute and cuddly with each other. But then, of course, K Webster had to give us like the biggest plot twist of life that was not necessary. Like, please, why do we need this plot twist? I don't know. I don't understand. And it completely shot my 5 out of 5 star rating all the way down to a 2-star rating, and I just could not deal with it. It was so disappointing. If only I could have just like ripped out that page of the ebook and just not read that part, this would have been my favorite book. But of course, we had to have that plot twist. So in terms of another disappointing read for me is actually Witch Please by Aguirre, and this was book number 1 in Fix It Witches series. I love the cover. I love the synopsis. I thought I would love this book. Basically, our hero is a baker, and he's a bisexual baker, and I just love bakers. You know what I'm saying? He wears plaid. He's big. He's like a lumberjack, and he bakes really nice cakes and donuts and things like that. The problem is that he really sucks with technology, so in comes our heroine. Our heroine is like an IT technician type of person. She's really good at computers, and it's probably through the help of magic. Yes, she is a witch under disguise as an IT fixer-upper. And so she's hired to fix his cash register, and they spark a relationship, and that's how they kind of fall in love and they start dating. But of course, she has to reveal to him that she is a witch, and she can actually help with the fact that our hero has been cursed. Our hero has been cursed to remain a virgin forever. So our heroine has to step in and break that curse. Honestly, I thought that this would be a really fun witchy vibe story, especially during the Halloween month time that I read it. So I was really excited and hyped for it. But I think it was the writing that really took out the enjoyment for me. I felt that it was very stale. I felt that it was very slow. And I felt that there wasn't enough steam in the story to keep me going. Now, by steam, I kind of mean just overall chemistry between our characters. I liked how sweet they were with each other, but I just wanted a little bit more angst. I wanted a little bit more of a thrill to make me interested and to keep reading this book. So overall, this was just a disappointing read. It wasn't the worst book on my list, but it still deserves a place on my list because damn, it tricked me with this beautiful cover. Okay, so the next book is not really a surprise as to why I put it on my worst books list, because me and Alexis Daria do not really have a solid relationship. I read one novella from her that was an Audible original, and I really enjoyed that one. So I gave A Lot Like Adios, book number 2 in the Primas of Power series, another chance. Okay, so our hero is a gym owner, and he is living his best life. He really cares about the healthy lifestyle. He cares about eating fresh and eating well, and he wants to build his gym brand and build his gym chain and things like that. But he needs the help of a social media marketer so that he can take his business to the next level. So this is a story of a second chance romance between our hero and heroine. They once had a really nice relationship. They were very, very much in love, but then they broke each other's hearts, and they thought that they'll never see each other again until they meet each other again in the same city, and they need each other's help. So this book also turned into enemies to lovers, mostly because they got so hurt from their relationship in the past that they'd never want to speak to each other again. But then the pacing of this book was what really triggered me into giving a low rating. Basically, our hero and heroine were enemies, and then they decided to put their hate aside and move directly into friends with benefits category in that zone. It just didn't really make sense to me. Like, how could you hate someone so much that you guys just decide to be friends with benefits? Like, it was giving me whiplash vibes. And overall, the story I just don't like. I personally do not care about learning the fitness regimen, learning how to be a gym owner, and I personally hate reading books about social media. And yes, I know, ironic, because I am on social media and I care very much about social media and, you know, being on all the social media platforms, but I just don't want to read it in my romance. But anyways, this book I just didn't like, and I don't think I'm going to continue with this series at all. Okay, so the next book that I want to talk about is a book that is disappointing. And it's so disappointing because I really liked book number 1 and book number 2, despite everybody hating book number 1 and book number 2, because the ratings for those 2 books on Goodreads is just so low. And a lot of my friends actually didn't like this book either, or didn't like those 2 books either. This one's from Meg K Bot. So this one's called No Words, and it is book number 3 in the Little Bridge Island series. I thought that I would really enjoy this book because obviously I really liked book number 1 and book number 2, but this one had that synopsis that reminded me a lot like Beach Read, and also mixed with People We Meet on Vacation. Basically, our hero and heroine are authors, but they write 2 completely different genres. Definitely beach read vibes, you know what I'm saying? So our hero writes like really strong literary fiction mixed with some thriller aspects to it. Our heroine literally writes middle grade novels about cats with superpowers, and they both have been looped up into a scandal. I know, really weird, but they happen to be looped up in the scandal where someone stole both of their works and made something out of it. So they both have been put into the spotlight, and our hero unfortunately puts his foot in his mouth by saying something really rude about our heroine's work. Our heroine is literally insulted in the papers, and her work is being put on the burner for it. Like, people just don't take her seriously, and she feels like nobody understands the impact that she has made in children's lives by creating these stories about this cat that has superpowers. I really liked the beginning of this book. I thought that like our 2 characters were really cute with their banter and their enemies to lovers aspect. I could clearly tell that our hero is a very stoic type of character that just doesn't know what to say, but he means with good intentions. And they get put into like this conference for authors on this island called the Little Bridge Island. So they have to spend a lot of time with each other during this conference. And she slowly starts to learn that he might not be as evil as the papers have kind of written him to be, and that he might be really sweet and very caring. And it also doesn't help that our hero actually has, I think, like a younger sister who read our heroine's books and really liked her books. So overall, I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars because our heroine was just so not understanding. She literally would always think the worst of him without hearing his side. and then he would kind of give up and not want to explain his side because he feels like he's always on the defense and he doesn't want to start a fight with her, mostly because also he's secretly in love with her. So this book has so much potential, but our heroine definitely destroyed it. Okay, so the next book that disappointed me was also from an author that I've read before and that I really liked. This one's called The Lucky Escape by Laura Jane Williams, and she wrote a book called Our Stop. And Our Stop was kind of like one of those books that could be really annoying, where our two characters just miss each other every time by just like a minute, by like a millimeter, by like just like a very small amount of space. Like they always just miss each other and then you're just waiting for them to meet each other. So I really enjoyed that one despite it being a little bit annoying. So I was really excited to pick up Laura Jane Williams' like third novel called The Lucky Escape. Basically, our heroine has been jilted at the altar and she has like this honeymoon that she has planned with her fiance slash now ex. So she decides to make up for it by just going to the honeymoon by herself and just to go explore herself and to become a new person. This book read a lot like women's fiction, but it was marketed like a romance, and that was kind of like the main beef that I had with this book. Because I was expecting a very cute romance, but all I got was just how our heroine dealt with that grief of losing someone, of just having been broken up with, and then all her other life issues that she had as an adult. So this one was very long, it was dry, it was disappointing, and that's why I gave it my worst rating. Okay, another book that is a fan favorite that everybody loves on booktube, that everybody loves on Goodreads, that everybody loves on Book Talk is this one called It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I just did not like this book at all. It is basically based on a Schitt's Creek character, Alexa, and Alexa, or our heroine, are very materialistic. They really care about their brand. They very care much about their like money, their inheritance, and basically it's just everything that I don't like in a character. And she's supposed to be this fun, quirky character that has to move to a small town to make ends meet, and she meets this very grumpy, sourly type of character, and they have to work with each other and things like that. I didn't like this one because I felt that, once again, the pacing was just all off. Our hero was supposed to be like this really grumpy, sourly guy that doesn't get along with our heroine, but I felt that our hero and heroine became friends really quickly from really earlier on, so that kind of wiped out all my enjoyment factor of this book. Like, I really wanted that angst, I wanted that like quick banter, I wanted that heat, I wanted that enemies to lovers like romance, and I didn't get it. And then it just was boring. Like, it was just like nothing was happening between our characters, and I think our character just kept fishing and they kept talking about fish, and I was just like, what is happening with this book? And it also became super duper predictable. And there were also like a lot of instances that I personally didn't have a problem with because I didn't care. But like a lot of people on Goodreads that gave it 1 star were like talking about how inappropriate like our characters were, especially during very pivotal scenes in each other's lives. So that was quite funny to read because I didn't even realize how bad it was until like I read someone complaining about it. And I'm like, yeah, like in real life, you wouldn't do that. You definitely wouldn't do that. Emotionally, you wouldn't do that. Mentally, you know that you shouldn't be doing that, but they did it anyways. So this one, very disappointing, and I just don't like it. Honestly, the second book, lots of people really like it, but I feel like I'm going to be the opposite once again. Okay, so the next book that I want to talk about is actually a YA novel that I was very disappointed in, but honestly, me and this author, I support her work because she is a person of color, she is of Asian descent, and I just want to, you know, uplift voices. But me and her don't really have like the best relationship in terms of books. So this one is her second debut novel in YA, and it's called Sunny Song Will Never Be Famous by Suzanne Park, and I just didn't like this one. It came with all the things that I didn't like, but I still picked it up anyways. I told you this before, I don't like books that involve social media. Our heroine is like addicted, I think, to her YouTube channel, and she really cares about her followers. She really cares about the numbers. She really cares about staying relevant and having those views, and those are all like the things that I don't want to read about, mostly because at the end of the day, like, social media can be really important for your mental health, because maybe you feel really good that you produce content and you're being recognized for it, for all your hard work. There's just so many more important things than social media. So that's why I don't like to read books about this. But basically, our heroine is so addicted to social media that her parents send her off to a farm where it's a social media detox, and she's stuck with like a bunch of other kids who are addicted to their social media platforms too, and they have to hide their phones and things like that. So obviously I didn't like this one. Okay, another book that I didn't like that was from an author that I really do like is this one from Lauren Lane. This one's called To Sir with Love. Honestly, this one was very disappointing. It felt very flat for me, but it was set up in a way that could have been really great. Our female heroine inherits a champagne wine business, and it's a store located in a prime location in New York City. Our hero, I think, is a real estate developer, and he wants to take that store's location so that he can like make more money off of it. So his entire intention is to really push our heroine out of that shop. And our heroine never wanted this wine business. She didn't care for it. But then now she sees the opportunity to really bring the family name, to uplift this company and to really make a business and to make it successful. So she's really determined into making this successful. When she goes home, she kind of relaxes and she chats with her online best friend on this app where they both don't reveal their true identities. And she's been talking to this male for a very, very long time, for many, many years. And you know it, and I know it. It was very easy to guess, but the person that she's talking to is actually our hero that's trying to push her out of this storefront, but they both don't know it. And they keep texting each other about like random things about their lives, and obviously they slowly start to fall in love. Overall, this book just fell flat. Like it was very formulaic. Like we knew where it was going. There was no surprises, and we just knew what would happen in the end. And I was just kind of waiting for the book to end at that point because I guessed everything. And it was an average read. It was disappointing because Lauren Lane is really good and I like her stories because there's an angst factor to it, but this one just fell flat. Okay, another book that disappointed me was this one because I really liked the original cover of this book, and I remember it coming out and everybody was talking about it on Bookstagram, mostly on my friends, because the author did a really good job with marketing. Like she got like the biggest Bookstagrammers to post images of this book, and I was intrigued by it because it looked super cute. I didn't know that it was going to be this steamy, but it was really steamy. So this one's called Petal, Plucker by Iris Moreland, and this one is like a second chance romance between our heroine and our hero. And our heroine owns a floral shop with her family, and she really likes flowers, but she's also carrying her V card and she wants to get rid of it. So when it's like kind of like known to everybody that she wants to get rid of it, our hero kind of steps back into our picture. Our hero used to be her crush and they used to like each other, but then something happened, and then now he's determined to be the one that takes her V card and to take that pesky problem away. Honestly, this book was just so disappointing because our characters were so cartoonish. They were so childish. They were caricatures of like what human beings were, and I just didn't like it. Like I just thought the plot was so dumb too as well. Not because like a best friend wants to step in and to like help, but just how it was executed and how the ending came about and how their happily ever after happened. But most of the times I just didn't like our heroine. Our heroine was super judgmental and she just couldn't trust a soul, and this was like her projecting her own issues onto him, and I couldn't care for it. Okay, so another book that I read that I didn't like was this one called Good Girl by Janet Austen, and this is part of her Vegas Billionaire series, book number 1. Now, I read book number 1, and then I took a really, really long break, and then I finally picked up the second part of this duology, and I enjoyed the second part. The second part was good. This one, couldn't care less for it. So this one is about our heroine who's a very good girl, but she needs money. So the thing that she does is that she auctions off her V card, as always. They go to Vegas to do it, and our hero steps in because our hero just is super alpha male, super really wants her, and just sees her and wants her. So he's willing to pay a price for her time. But the thing is that I like those types of stories because they're pure fantasy, they're ludicrous, they're just, you tell it to someone and people are going to be confused about what you're reading, and I enjoy it. It's my catnip. But the thing is that I like our heroes to be, not hot and cold. Our hero was a jerk. most of the times, but then he'll be really sweet, but then he'll be super controlling, and he'll just do all these things that would just annoy me and piss me off. So I ended up giving this one a 2 out of 5 stars, and I was literally begging for this book to end. Okay, another book that I didn't like was this historical romance novel. I know I didn't really include any historical romances that I didn't like in this video, mostly because I don't want to sift through it, and also I've already trashed enough historical romances in my historical romance readathon vlogs that I posted a couple of weeks ago, and I had a really good solid year with historical romances in general. There were none that I really hated. It was just majority of them where I really liked it, and some of them just were average reads. This historical romance I just didn't like. This one is called The Making of a Highlander by Alexis Brandon, and I was recommended this book by a bunch of booktubers, and I just don't see the appeal of this book. I'm sorry. I think it's like a me problem, but I also think it's the author problem. I want to read more of her books just to see if it's just this one-time off problem that she has with this one. But this one I didn't like because of the writing style. Our author actually wrote more telling than showing, and that really annoyed me. That annoyed me so much. Our characters' feelings were explained to me but not like shown, and a lot of the scenes were explained to me but not like shown, and I was just so confused. So basically our heroine is the girl from Brave. She has red fiery hair, she has a fiery personality, she's a full feminist, she really cares about her rights, she thinks that she can do whatever a man can do, and good for her. I really do appreciate that type of character in a historical romance. But there is a problem with her, and the problem is that people call her Mad Annie because her best friend is a ghost, and she can have like all these like supernatural things that happen around her, so people think that she is crazy. But is she really crazy, or is she the smartest out of everyone? So our hero is in town to participate in the Highland Games because he is stuck with this land dispute, and the only way that he can get this piece of land is to win these Highland Games, and it's there where he meets our heroine, and they both fall in love, and they both have this very intense relationship. Our heroine has to save her best friend, who is a ghost, and the way that she can save the ghost is by marrying a lord, and our lord just so happens to be our hero. So it kind of makes sense for them to fall in love and to date. But there is like mystery and intrigue that follows with why our ghost friend is disappearing, and then there are also all the games that our hero has to play. So if you're looking for an adventurous read, then maybe this one's for you, but I just could not stand the writing style, did not care about the mystery and intrigue, could not care less about a historical Hunger Games. But anyways, that is it for all the books that I didn't like in 2021. I think I missed a bunch of books, but these are the highlights of the books that I didn't like. Hopefully I didn't hurt everybody's feelings with the choices that I put on this list, but keep in mind that it is my own opinion and I don't mean any harm by it. And I'm sure that we both have a lot of books that we like and we have shared a common interest with. So I'll see you guys again next time in a new video. Bye guys.